So from like a brand marketing standpoint, are there, what are the trends, or, where are things moving in the next 12 months? Kind of future gaze. What are some of the maybe three things that you see kind of changing the landscape?
Yeah, great question. I think we've touched briefly on the fact that most economic observers, analysts are predicting that we're heading into a recession. So I think the macroeconomic environment is certainly going to change, or at least impact how marketers make their plans and go to market. And I think we've talked about how the most effective, most successful ones will market through the recession and continue to invest in their brand so that it pays off for them throughout the recession and as we come out of it.
No,
So
so
I think,
Coca-Cola just came out with a pretty much statement, I guess, just saying that, yeah, we're going to continue to invest.
wow,
Just things, yeah, just the other day I was reading something. Yeah. But I mean,
interesting,
I think they're the business case for for doing that anyway, because they're
right?
always investing. But yeah, I mean, I think you'll see a lot of brands that do that, but a lot of ones that you don't hear about that maybe disappear.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and it's I don't think it's coincidental that it's always the brands like Coca-Cola and Nike and the usual suspects who
Mhm.
are known around the world for being some of the best brand marketers on the planet that tend to succeed when things get challenging,
Mhm.
and that's because of that continued investment in their brand. So I think we've correctly identified that the macroeconomic environment, the recession, is going to be challenging for marketers. Um, I think the second, and I know Linchpin has I think you've published some content around this, and I think it's going to be an increasingly significant topic of conversation. Is what's happening in digital and social media.
Yeah.
I think that the outlook is perhaps more uncertain than it's been for quite some time, maybe ever, for
Mhm.
the biggest social media players. Elon Musk having purchased Twitter, and there's been a flurry of change since he took the reins. I think, what does that mean for advertisers? I saw his dear advertisers note, I think, on his first day, which was
Mhm.
interesting. And it just seems like he's trying to be all things to all people. He's trying to placate advertisers at the same time. Um, he's making some controversial decisions in terms of how they're resourced and how the product operates. So I think that's going to be really interesting to watch for marketers over the next 6 to 12 months. Meta investing heavily in the metaverse. Is that vision going to be realized? Hard to say right now, because they're making some pretty big bets in that space.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that has significant implications for marketers. And then if I had to pick a third,
And I think just on that, recently there was a piece around TikTok marketeers now creating specific video content just for TikTok. So you see how a brand 3 years ago, maybe 3, 4 years ago, obviously had low a low penetration or low understanding of that in the space. Not many people knew it. Now look how that's evolved in the last year to 18 months, especially with COVID. That brand now is taking on. So yeah, three brands within that space that are all kind of going on their own interesting trajectory, right?
yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, I think that's something to watch for sure, to say the least. And I think if I had to pick maybe a third um, item of interest for marketers over the next 6 to 12 months, it's the continuing fragmentation of media, right? That as attention is diffused and distributed across more and more platforms and publishers, how do marketers work in that environment? It used to
Mhm.
be quite simple that you had to use Musk's own terminology since acquiring Twitter, like there was a pretty there was a common town square, let's say, where you knew that if you invested in broadcast media and the biggest digital platforms, you would find your audience. But as that audience splinters and has more choice on where to spend their time and attention, what do marketers do? How do they navigate that environment? I think that's going to be challenging and not an easy question to solve for.
No, and you look at things like the CTV space, which in terms of market budget allocation in the last 12 months, I think it's, as we know, significant growth, but challenges are still the ability to track, ability to understand performance, the ability to understand audience in that space. It's obviously a huge space. It's going to, erupt, as I said, and evolve in the coming, over the next coming few years. But big thing around attribution and tracking in that space for marketeers to understand, right?
Definitely. Well said.